Welcome to UCAN2. I'm Dave Stradell, a member of Muskegon Community College's business faculty and program coordinator for marketing, management, and entrepreneur studies. UCAN2 is a campus-wide philosophy that encourages students of all ages, regardless of their major or area of interest, to consider business ownership as a career path. This program features discussion with area business owners and supporting organizations, which will help highlight how they became entrepreneurs or support entrepreneurs, and talk about issues important to people starting out in business. Today we're meeting with John Clark, Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending for Community Shores Bank. Hi, John.
Hi, Dave. Welcome to Community Shores Bank.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
John, tell us a little bit about Community Shores Bank.
Well, Community Shores Bank was started in 1999 by a lot of local bankers because of a lot of the regional banks coming in and not being headquartered in Muskegon County. So we are the only Muskegon County chartered bank, and this is our headquarters, this is our hometown, and that's our focus.
Tell us about your background.
My background is in finance, obviously. I've been banking. But for 8 years out of college, I was in commercial banking, and then at that point, at the 8-year point, I had the opportunity to purchase a fairly new company that had just started. That was started by an individual who was good at starting a business, but didn't really know how to grow it and manage it. So a partner and I bought it from him, ran that for 15 years, bought a couple other companies in between that time period, and then had an opportunity to sell it about 5 years ago, and I got back into commercial banking then at that time.
How do banks help small business owners?
Well, banks help small business a couple ways, I think. One, they provide a good sounding board. When you have a good commercial lender to talk to the small business owner, they're a good sounding board because they know a lot of things going on within the community, within particular industries, those kind of things. And obviously they help them by providing capital, by providing loans to them to let them accomplish their goals.
Let's talk about startup loans. What type of loans are available for new business owners?
Well, there's quite an array of startup loans. A lot of them are done through the Small Business Administration Program, or SBA program, as a lot of people know it as. And there are many different structured loans out there. There's working capital loans that provide needs for short-term money. Equipment term loans that could go from anywhere from 7 to 10 years, kind of amortization, kind of matching the life of the equipment to the loan. And then even long-term loans to acquire facilities to operate within. Those are even longer term yet. Those could be anywhere from 15 to 25-year kind of loan repayment term to help them acquire their new facilities. So those same loans are available on the conventional side too. Maybe a little bit different terms, different collateral positions, those kind of things. But wide array of loans that are available for new businesses.
If someone wants to borrow from a bank, how should they prepare to start the process?
First step, and a lot of people don't understand this, is you need to get that business plan going. It's so critical, and you need to put a lot of time into it, and it takes a lot of time. And you need to do just a lot of research on your product, your competition, your market, all those things that you're going to encounter. And one of the other things that, part of that business plan, what I encourage a lot of people to do is early on in the process, even before they have that done, maybe even before they start, meet with the banker. Go interview your banker, talk to particular bankers that are out there, because each banker may have his own little hot button he's looking for in that business plan. So you want to make sure you include a lot of that stuff within your business plan, because you want to go in when you're finally ready to approach investors or your banker, whatever the case may be. You want to be fully prepared. You want to know your business inside and out, and that business plan, by you doing your homework, is what's going to let you do that.
What do banks look for when considering a loan application?
Well, in our world, we call it the 5 C's. The first one is capacity, and that's probably the most important. And capacity refers to the ability to repay the loan. Banks make loans, and we're hoping to get repaid through the cash flows of the business. That's our primary way we want to get repaid. And so we're going to look long and hard as if someone wants to borrow this money, do they have the ability to pay it back through the cash flows generated from this business? So that's number one. Second, collateral. Everybody knows banks want to be secured in their loans. So we're going to look what type of assets are out there available to secure the loan that they're requesting. Now, some people say, well, if capacity is the first thing, why do you need the collateral? Well, it doesn't always work out as planned, so you have to have something. The bank needs to be secured in case the cash flows aren't there to repay the loan. The collateral can be sold to repay the loan. The third thing are conditions, the third C, and that's really the conditions of the industry you're looking to get into, the general overall market, those type of things. You know, what conditions are out there that you're going to be competing against or you're going to be up against as a business owner. The fourth C is capital, and obviously we're going to look at what capital the business owner can bring to the table, maybe his relatives investing with him, what the bank invests as capital, because capital is pretty critical to success. And the fifth C of credit would be character. I said capacity is probably number one. I kind of put character as 1A, because you're not going to lend to somebody that you don't trust, doesn't have a good background, doesn't have the reputation within the business world. But another thing a lot of people don't understand is personal credit. I mean, we're going to look at how you've handled your personal credit as a way to ascertain how you handle things. People will say, well, why? This is a business loan. Well, if you handle your personal credit bad, it might be a reflection, and it generally is a reflection on how you might end up handling your business relationship. But if you've handled your personal credit very well, that's usually a good sign that you probably have the right makeup to handle a business loan too. So those 5 C's are really what we really concentrate very heavily on.
Mm-hmm. In business, particularly startups, cash is king. What can banks do to help small businesses with their cash flow?
Well, one of the biggest things a bank can help to manage their cash flows is early on in the process, is when you talk to them with their business plan, those type of things, help them really understand that sales and cash are two different things. It takes cash to get yourself pumped up, to get that sale, to get your inventory in, to pay the employees, to convert it into an end product. That's all taking cash. Then you have the sale. Yes, your sale might be a $10,000 sale, but it took you $5,000 to invest in to get that sale. And then you have the sale at $10,000 and your terms are net 30 days. So it might taking you 30 days to generate the sale, then 30 more days to collect it. That's 60 days where you have $5,000 of your cash out there. Yeah, $10,000 sale and I made $5,000, but do you have the $5,000 there to work on that one, and maybe the $5,000 to start the next one while you're waiting to collect? So we work real hard on, when we're looking at the business plans, that they're really not only looking at sales, but the collection and the ebb and flow of cash flow. And how we really help with that is providing lines of credit. That's probably the primary way we can do it. One, making them aware of the difference between cash and sales. And two, providing a facility that gives them money to, when the cash is needed, they can borrow from the bank. Then they wait and they get it collected. Once it's collected, they can take that cash and pay down their line of credit and then just start the whole cycle over again.
What are some common mistakes you see new business owners making in terms of their relationship with a bank?
I think there's a couple. And some of this falls back on the banker reviewing it initially. It's providing a too grandiose plan right up front. A lot of them, entrepreneurs by nature, are usually optimistic people, or else they're not going to get into something that has a fairly high failure rate. So really being too optimistic that, well, I'm going to have $1 million of sales the first year and I'm just going to make X amount of money and I'm just going to live the life. You know, we really need to see it, that is tempered with reality in those plans, because it costs a lot of money to get a business going and then to run it day to day. The second thing, and this is with the economy where it is now, what we see is really coming to talk to the bank too late when things aren't going to your plan. You know, plans are just that, they're plans. You know, a game plan is something to operate by, but it doesn't ever flow exactly as you expect. And so sometimes maybe you're having a little bit of a rough patch and you're not, you know, the cash flow isn't there, those kind of things aren't there. You just try to work it through and you just keep digging a bigger hole. They're too afraid to come talk to the bank that I have a little problem going. But usually if they talk to the bank early on, say, hey, I got this coming up and this, and I'm going to need a little bit of help, the bank is probably usually going to be really pretty responsive for someone who's on top of something to see they're having a little problem. And there's usually a lot of things a bank can do if it's early on in the process. Maybe you can restructure something for a short-term period, give a little short-term loan. But if you wait too long to communicate with your banker because you're either one, embarrassed that's not going to plan, or two, scared, you might really make it even more difficult because sometimes it's just too late and there's nothing the bank can do for you.
What should people consider when choosing a bank for their business?
I think the number one thing is make sure it's a bank that really wants to do business lending. And most commercial banks do, but you'll find some banks, when the economy's good, they're hot to do commercial lending. When the economy's not so good, they pull back their horns. You want a bank that they're in it. That's one of their main focuses. And in Community Shores, we are a business bank. You know, that is one of our primary focus. We're full service, but we do a lot of business lending, and that's our forte. So, and I think the second thing is you want the commercial lender you're dealing with to be accessible. You want to be able to call them up and get an appointment at their office, or even better yet, have that commercial lender come to your place of business and see what you're doing. And you know, if they're not willing to be that active in your business and take a role and just coming out and seeing your location, seeing your product and talk to you, you know, that might be a sign maybe there's another banker you should talk to. And a lot of time, it might not be the bank itself, it's the banker, because you know that you're going to develop a really good relationship with the individual lender you're dealing with. And yes, he's representing that bank, and you know, all the banks are usually very good institutions. But that individual is going to be your sounding board within that bank, so you want to develop a good relationship with him and make sure you have somebody who takes the time to understand your business.
Can someone with little or no credit still approach a bank for a loan?
Oh, of course. Because many entrepreneurs are young and first time in business, those kind of things. Just because you've never had credit will not preclude you from having an opportunity to get a business loan. Negative credit, yes, will hurt you, but lack of ever having credit, no. If you have a sound business plan, you have the experience, you have the capital, you have the investors, you have the idea, all those things will be looked at, and really the credit will take on less of an importance because you've never had it. Yes, it'll be back there, but oh, of course you can go for a business loan.
And finally, John, what would you say to people who are looking to start a business?
Many business people and entrepreneurs have used banks to start and fund a successful business. You can too.
Does starting or owning a business within your field of study sound interesting? Learn more by asking any Muskegon Community College counselor or department chair about available entrepreneurial associate degrees. Remember, there are millions of people who have used commercial banks to start a successful business. You can too. If you have comments or suggestions for this program, email us at david.sturdell@muskegoncc.edu or call David Sturdell at 231-777-0304.